In this episode, I'm going to share my thoughts on internet chess, so stick around. Okay, welcome to the Chess Angle. So let's talk about internet chess and online chess for the typical player, for your average Joe, club tournament player, amateur players. There's a lot of debate about whether it hurts or helps your game. Is it good for chess improvement or not? Does it worsen your game? Should you do it? Should you do it just for fun? Is it something that you should take as a serious tool or think of as a serious tool for improvement? A lot of questions with that. So I'm just going to share my thoughts, as always, as an amateur player in the trenches. So let's talk about the pandemic first. Okay, so I'm recording this in March of 2021. So the pandemic's been with us for pretty much a year, almost on the dot, give or take, but, about a year or so, let's say. And there has been an increase in chess online and chess in general and the interest in the game. And a couple of things happened. It's almost like a sociological, almost like a Malcolm Gladwell Freakonomics type of analysis for this. So basically, with the quarantine, especially when it was really bad, people were stuck in the house. So it was like, okay, let's dust off the chess set, or let's play chess online. So there was some interest there. People were playing who ordinarily wouldn't because they were forced to quarantine. And then you had something happen. So there's this increase in the game because people are stuck in their homes. Then around October of last fall, The Queen's Gambit comes out on Netflix. And anyone who knows anything about chess knows what The Queen's Gambit is. Of course, the series on Netflix about a young female chess prodigy. So you have this like double whammy, so to speak. People are interested in chess more because of the pandemic, and we're spending more time indoors on the computer. And on top of that, you now have The Queen's Gambit promoting it even more. And not only were they promoting chess, it's really about tournament chess. Okay, not really like kitchen table chess. So you have people interested in chess, people interested in chess tournaments, and The Queen's Gambit makes it mainstream and makes it less nerdy, because one of the things about this country, let's face it, chess has always been viewed as kind of like the nerdy game, a game for nerds. Unfortunately, in most other countries in the world, it's not like that. But in this country, it's all about sports, and chess has always been kind of the nerdy game, unfortunately. And, if you look at movies and television, anytime they want to depict a character as like a nerdy type, they make him, or her like captain of the chess team or something. It's just the go-to. But nowadays, that stereotype is lessening. I mean, it has been, but with the pandemic and The Queen's Gambit, a lot more people are into it. And I'm noticing a big uptick even in my club, because I'm getting more requests than ever for our Facebook group. I'm getting more emails and questions about tournaments. People want to get into it. How do I get rated? Which is fantastic. And it's great to see, because my fear was, and I was speaking with some other tournament directors about this, my fear was that all the internet chess was going to somehow hurt live games, the over-the-board games. See, my thinking was that, okay, people are going to turn to the internet to play, and they're going to think, well, this is the new normal. Or, why should I leave the house to play in a tournament when I can just do it on my computer? But it turns out I was wrong about that, because playing online, it's actually spurring people to want to play in actual in-person tournaments. And I think as people realize that online chess is not real chess, it only takes you so far. And that's great to see. Okay. And unfortunately, I mean, this pandemic is scary stuff, but as a surprising, I guess, residual effect of it, people are interested in the game now. So, and like chess.com and all these online sites, I mean, I would imagine, they're making all sorts of money, because because they're getting more registrations than ever before. So that's kind of what's happening, like from a sociological perspective in the game right now. And I have mixed feelings on internet chess. See, it's funny. This isn't, if you were expecting me to kind of take a side, like, yes, internet chess is good or it's bad, I'm going to kind of be like a politician in this podcast because I'm having trouble making a decision. For a long time, I was against playing chess online. I mean, I probably lean that way still a little bit, but I have mixed feelings now. I really have mixed feelings. And, you know, it's funny, of course, with the pandemic, we all lost our discipline, sort of. You know, we're stuck inside, you know, we're not eating as healthy as we used to. We're not exercising as much. And, you know, I swore I wasn't going to play online anymore. So, of course, you're stuck inside. I started doing it a little bit. And, you know, I think there are some pros and cons. So let's look at the pros of online chess. And I'm just sharing my thoughts. I'm not preaching and saying this is how it should be. This is just my opinion here. So to review and practice openings, I think it's excellent. Okay, so if you're learning a new opening or looking at new variations, you can play some 5-minute games online and kind of review it. And I say 5-minute games because most people, if you're going to play online, you're not going to sit there for, you know, a 2-hour game. Most people just don't have the patience in doing that in front of a computer. It's different when you're playing that time control in person. So it's good for reviewing and practicing openings. It's also good, obviously, for people who, for health reasons, or otherwise, can't leave the house. So it gives them an opportunity to play. Okay. And you can also meet people all over the world, which is interesting. It's also good, I think, to help practice playing in time pressure, because even if you're a fan of slower time controls like myself, even in those situations, you're still going to find yourself in time pressure occasionally. So it's good to have some practice with that. But I think the main benefit of the online chess sites is the instruction. Because, you know, actually playing games online, that's one thing. But just as a side note, I know on chess.com, their instructional lessons are fantastic. In fact, those of you who have been around may remember they used to have their instructional games before the website, their instructional modules on a CD-ROM set called Chess Mentor. And I remember purchasing them. And now, of course, everything is online, but it was originally called Chess Mentor. Now it's just their lessons. They're outstanding, by the way, regardless of your rating. I think it might be some of the best instructional software out there. It's very, very good. So for instructional use, for looking at videos and looking at these chess modules where, you know, it'll give you a chess puzzle, you'll make a move, but it's very interactive. It'll give you hints if you want. It'll give you written explanations of what you should be doing. It's very, very good. So for that, I think the internet is fantastic because it saves you hours from what it would take to do that, you know, with a chessboard and a book in front of you. Okay. So those are some pros of playing online. Let's look at some cons now. The main con, and I think for this reason alone is why I tend to avoid it, it's very addicting. It's very addicting. You might say, okay, I'm just going to spend a half hour playing a little bit online, but you know that doesn't happen. And then you start losing a few games and you want to win it back, you know, your rating points. So it becomes a really big, you know, time suck, as they say. And, you know, you have stuff you need to do around the house or whatever. And, you know, here you are now, you planned on playing for just 45 minutes or so and 3 hours have gone by. So it is very addicting. That's number one. And actually, before I go on to number two, the problem with it also is that as you keep playing, especially if like you're losing a number of games in a row, you start playing worse because you feel like you have to catch up. It's almost like a poker player on tilt, so to speak. So that can be a problem. It is very, very addicting. The second thing is a lot of people do it in a situation where they're not fully focused. And I wonder if that can hurt your game in the long run. In other words, you know, they're playing on their phone on their lunch break, or they're playing with the TV on in the background. That's not really how chess is meant to be played. Now, if you're doing it just for fun and you're not really concerned about your development or your improvement, if you're doing it the way you would play Candy Crush on your phone. Not that I'm, suggesting you should do that with chess, but if that's your attitude, if you don't care, fine. But if you're taking it seriously, you kind of have to sit down in a focused situation, because if you're doing it on your phone while you're doing other things, or while you have a TV show on, or while you have like 5 other tabs open, probably not a good idea, but that's what happens. The other thing I wonder about is whether it, hurts or just, sort of stifles your deeper positional thinking. Because if you're playing 5-minute games, it becomes very tactical. Now, yes, I know the argument, even in speed chess, there is positional and strategic thinking. And I agree with that to a certain point, but if you're doing a lot of 5-minute games and then you're sitting down for, let's say, a game 90 or game in 2 hours, it can be a little bit different. So I wonder about that. Maybe I'm wrong. Just some thoughts. The other thing, of course, is cheaters. I mean, I spoke about that in a separate episode about chess cheating, but online, you really don't know for sure what you're facing and what the other person's doing behind a computer screen. Now, chess.com, I know, and I spoke about this in another episode, they have some type of computer program or algorithm, whatever you call it, that is supposed to be extremely accurate at detecting cheaters. Apparently, it can look at the moves made and determine if computer assistance was used to a high degree of accuracy. I don't know much about it other than that, and that they claim they've caught a lot of cheaters as a result. So the good thing is at least they're cracking down on it. I mean, I'm sure a few are going to slip by, but I appreciate the fact that they're, making an attempt. And the other thing is the last con, there may be more, but the one that I want to talk about a little bit is that I think it takes away from your study time when you could be working on weaknesses in your game, especially those of us who have limited study time. If you use the limited study time you have to simply play, 5-minute or 10-minute games online, that's time you're not using to study something else. Like, for example, let's say you notice you're playing excellent games in your over-the-board tournaments, but you keep making mistakes in the end game, even against lower-rated players. Like, you're playing very solidly in the opening and the middle game, but you consistently drop the ball in the end game. You realize it's not just because of fatigue, but because you have some theoretical gaps in your game. That's what you should be spending your study time on. And I'm not sure playing these 5-minute games is going to help that. If you have limited study time to begin with, and you're using all that time to play online, you're not going to improve in those areas. So those are some thoughts on internet chess. So I went from being vehemently opposed to it to kind of having mixed feelings. And I believe in, the old saying, moderation in all things. I think it's okay to do once in a while, as a warm up, maybe to try out some openings. But if you're, playing every night for hours and, you don't really see it's helping you and you're not studying other aspects of your game, it's probably not helping. But I think the biggest benefit of online chess and the online sites is the instruction. Okay, the instructional videos, the instructional lessons, those are fantastic. I'd rather people spend time on those than simply just playing games, for hours. So I think if you use it, like I said, sporadically, play a few games here and there, as a warm up, maybe to try some openings, that type of thing, I think it's okay, but it can easily be overdone. And again, it can be very addicting and a huge time suck, as I said. Just wanted to share some thoughts on internet chess. Everyone's going to go play a 5-minute game online now, right now. But anyway, it's certainly interesting to look at it, especially in light of the pandemic, because as I said, the game has reached like a whole new level now. There's this interest in the game among, people of all walks that we just haven't seen. I mean, for my club now, I'm getting calls from all walks, teachers, lawyers, doctors, electricians, real estate agents, retirees, high school kids, college kids. You name it. We've had them at the club. So people of all walks are interested in the game now. And again, it was really due to the pandemic. And then what really pushed it further was The Queen's Gambit on Netflix. Okay, and a lot of these chess stores, if you look at some of these newspaper articles, they're like running out of product. They can't keep up with the orders. So some very interesting stuff, very interesting time for chess right now. Really appreciate you listening. As always, I hope you win your next game. Have a great day.